Mr. B here. It's May 12th. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. I hope you're having a good one. What I want to talk about today is drinking and driving. Yes. Don't do it. Just don't. If you've had too much to drink, give your keys to somebody else, take an Uber, take a Lyft, take a cab, do whatever you can. Do not get behind the wheel of a car if you've been drinking. Just don't do it. I will tell you my story. First time I ever got a DWI, I was living in Wilmington, and me and two other guys went in my truck. It didn't have any back seats or anything like that. It had like a camper shell on it. It was an older Nissan. And we had gone downtown, had a couple of beers, played some foosball, and for whatever reason I took a couple of shots of some kind of bourbon and decided to drive back, and got within probably maybe less than half a mile from the condo where I was living with my roommate, and the blue lights, there they were. So he pulls me in our driveway. We had parking spots in our, some were marked visitor and others weren't marked. I think I had numbers. Yeah, they did. They have numbers depending on whatever your unit number was. I can't remember what ours was, maybe 16 or something like that. But yeah, and then it had a visitor spot next to it, and I was trying to get in there and just get home and get it over with or whatever, or at least try to pull into one of the spots. But before I knew that, a city cop had pulled in behind the highway patrolman. They had saw me. They reported me weaving in traffic. And man, it just sucked. They get me pulled over, and they told my two buddies, like, just get out, you know, just go. We got to deal with this guy. So they, one of my friends was actually my former roommate's roommate. So he just went and stayed in my room that night. Guess where I spent the night? Yes, the New Hanover County Jail, the old jail. And that was my first time ever being in trouble, actually being in jail. And I think I got there. And I mean, the city cop was the real jerk. I mean, just yelling. I mean, the highway patrolman was really professional, really cool. He's like, I'm like, man, can you just let me go in? Just please, we're right here in my driveway, you know, in our apartment complex. You know, all I gotta do is just move the car over, and you can just let me go, please. I'm like, yeah, I know I shouldn't have been doing what I was doing, even though I was giving away information. I guess I shouldn't have been. I should have just kept my mouth shut. But anyway, so I'm left there to deal with him, and then the city cop was yelling while he was getting, you know, I was doing field sobriety, all this kind of stuff. The city cop that had pulled in behind him was yelling all kinds of stuff like, "You're a danger to society, you menace, you asshole, MF, get the hell off my highway," all this kind of stuff. And I mean, actually the state trooper kind of looked at him like, yeah, man, you're kind of out of line. I think if anybody's highway, it's my highway. Because he was the highway patrolman. But, you know, I don't know what the dude was there for. If that state trooper had called him for backup, I doubt it. He probably just saw the blue lights flashing and pulled in to see what was going on. But that sucked. So on the ride down to the jail, you know, he told me, well, my dad's a lawyer, and he was kind of laying out what I had in store for me. So we get to the jail. Of course, they, you know, fingerprinted me, do all that, set my bond at like $2,000. I mean, I'm like, what? On a first offense DWI, you're gonna set the bond that high? And damn if they didn't. And the magistrate, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter. So that was my first time being in jail now. They give me a bedroll, they dress me out in orange, and they send me into a pod, and I can't see anything. It's just completely dark. And then I just am still drunk, so I just sort of, you know, pass out. And then I hear motion, you know, movement, people talking, you know, they're already waking up. Well, the breakfast trays have arrived. And I heard somebody say, "Oh Lord, they brought another white boy in here." And I was like, I mean, not to be racist or anything like that, but that's just the first words I heard. And I'm like, oh God, what have I done? But actually they were pretty cool. Like, everybody was cool in there. I mean, there wasn't anything popping off, or, you know, I talked to some people. So the next day was Monday, where I had to have a first appearance and go down. You know, they arraign you, your judge asks if you want a lawyer, all this kind of stuff. That was in the morning, and then they send you back to the cell or the pod that I was in, and I stayed there for almost 12 more hours until my roommate came down, and it bonded me out. But $2,000 on a first offense DWI, if anybody's ever had an experience like that, please leave it in the comments. But did I learn my lesson after that one? No. Got another one. Nope, this time I was living up here around the Cherry Point, New Bern area, coming back from the golf course, speeding on a road that wasn't known to ever have any cops on it. Well, this man found himself in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that time I didn't go to jail. I had to pay a fine, and I mean, I don't know what the penalties are now. I know I mean, they can be pretty strict, but on a level 5 DWI, you know, I think there's 5 levels of DWI severity. It's a $250 fine on a level 5, a $500 fine on a level 4, on a level 3. It's a $1,000. It's a $1,000 fine, and on a level 1, it's a $4,000 fine. So it's definitely not something that you need to be doing, or if you want to throw your money away in a bad, terrible way, do that. Get a DWI. But I just wish I had learned, you know, from the first one. I gotta get the best lawyers that I could buy, and I still did not get out of any of them. Then I got another one. And that was my final one, and then I'm like, I didn't go to jail on that one either, but I got ripped out of my car by about a 7-foot tall, this big black 7-foot tall highway patrolman that thought that I was running from him, when I was just trying to look for a place to pull over, because the drop off, there was a ditch to my right. If there wasn't hardly any area, you know, where you could turn, and I had passed him instead of yielding, you know, which it had not become a law yet that you had to yield to a you know, it was mandatory that you get in the other lane when a police officer had somebody pulled over, or a highway patrolman, he had somebody pulled over, and I just went right by him. So he jumped on me. I'm looking in the rearview mirror, and he's not directly behind me, but he's in the lane next to it. So he's following me like from over there, and I didn't think he was after me, but he hit his lights. Then he pulls in behind me, and I pulled into a Food Line parking lot because I didn't want to fall off into that ditch. And he's like, "Why are you running from me?" He rips me out with one hand, and slams me on the hood of my truck. I was looking for a place to put this truck. You know, I didn't want to go down in the ditch. And he's like, "Son, when I hit them lights to get behind you, you pull over, and you pull over wherever, you know, immediately." And I'm like, "Yes, sir." and then of course it cost a lot, and I ended up getting a blow and go, I want to say in 2015, and I violated, like the stupid idiot that I am, I violated that. But then there's another some complicated things about that I'm not even going to get into. One violation, my father had used the car and had put suntan, sunscreen on, because he was working outside and he didn't want to get, I guess he's had problems with the skin in the sun, and he's got a beard like thicker than this one, and the sunscreen got in the beard, and when he blew, the thing registered that he had alcohol in the system. So because I had the blow and go on the car, it's on me. Whoever gets in the car and there's a violation, it's on me. It's not on them, and they're not going to believe anything. So I'm in the process of trying to get that back, and that's it. It's just people just don't drink and drive. You're putting people's lives at risk every time you get behind the wheel of a car when you've been drinking. And the minimum in North Carolina is 0.08, and that's like a beer, maybe if you slammed one. I mean, it's very low, and it seems like the penalties keep getting tougher every year, and they should be tough. I mean, there are people being killed by a drunk driver. My uncle, his son was killed by a drunk driver, and the guy didn't even drink. He was just coming back from a pool tournament and got hit head on by this drunk guy, and that was it. So please, please do not drink and drive. Find a way home. But as always, stay tuned, and I'll see you later.